Alright, so installing the Voodoo VRS rack on the Jeep Gladiator. These are most of the components here. So you've got your crossbars, horizontal, crossbars vertical for tent, accessory panels, legs, right gaskets, gussets, left gussets. Here's one of the rails. I've already installed the second one. And then here are the no drill brackets. Alright, so these are the instructions. They're pretty good. Pictures are good quality. So we're going. So I do have the BAK 4XS or whatever on here. So installed the Voodoo VRS rail and then installed this on. So it clamps in like that, and then the BAK just installs like normal. So one thing to note is over here, you have to put the VRS rails in this recessed slot. So I'll show you that in a minute. So for the BAK the BAK bar to fit properly, these things need to be in here like this. I struggled for 30 minutes trying to figure out why it wasn't fitting right, and that is why. So it is a little tight right here. You have to angle the screw just right to fit in there, but you can get the washer and the screw and the other washer in there just fine, which I will show you in a bit. All right, so this is the challenging part with these bolts and screws, because you've got this lip which is right here on the VRS rack. Then you've got to get these washers in front of it, so the VRS rack can sit flush and it doesn't impede how you're going to bolt it on right here. Alright, so here's what it looks like once it's installed. You can see the washers are sitting in front of that VRS rack bar piece. And then if you come around up top, you kind of have this gap right here, and then all the way through. So here's what it looks like from this angle. This is broken on my back thing, but it's all right. So I have to tighten this down now. Here's what it looks like on one that's tightened down. This sits a little bit more straight. It's tightened down, and then there you go. So these are the stainless steel bolts that come with it, and then these are the no drill brackets to secure the VRS bars. They do recommend using an anti-seize on the bolts. All right, so I had to take it off. When it came time to roll the cover out, because the bars were bent a little bit, as you can see on the previous part of the video, the tonneau cover wouldn't roll back properly, and I really had to force it down, which you shouldn't have to do. And yeah, so I just had to take it off. So I did that. I went back, pushed these up all the way to the top for a better grip. I think part of the reason it didn't fit too is because this part doesn't sit flush and it's just enough to throw it off. And then as you can see, this part sticks out a little bit, but previous from the dirt under the tonneau cover rails, you can see it's just the angle came out a different, came weird. And then also I tried to take some of this weather stripping off a little bit to see if even that much difference would matter in trying to straighten out the bar so the tonneau cover could fit on, and it didn't really do anything. So I'm gonna check their KB Voodoo's website. Maybe I'm just missing the wrong bracket. All right, so we're back with day 2. I'm gonna finish up the legs and try to get everything mounted. So with these gussets, you're gonna use the locking head bolt and a locking nut. You're gonna put it in these 3 holes. So it'll look like that. Here is what the nut looks like. And then here is what the bolt looks like. And you gotta put anti-seize on all of these. So it takes a bit. All right, so I've got 4 legs installed just like this. This is not installed, but it sits on the inside like this. Line up the holes. You're gonna use the long hex head screw with this type of nut. The bolt goes on the outside into the bed, and then the nut goes at what you're looking at right now. All right, so I've installed the accessory panels. So it's just test fit loose right now, but it's the same locking bolts as the gusset and the same locking nuts on the other side. So I decided to center it, 3 from the top, 3 from the bottom. Put some Rotopacks here, recovery case here, Rotopacks on the other side. All right, so I started trying to do these extruded aluminum support beams with the legs on my truck. It was pretty difficult, so I'm building it from the ground up, and then I'll just move it over to my truck. So I tested my process on the first beam. This is what it looks like on the second beam. So I'm going 1 inch from that edge of the bolt. These 3-bit T-nuts slide in the extrusion channels like this. So I'm using just something to prop open a hole. I start with it in the middle one, and then I do this one, and I bring it over here and I do this one, and then I do the other side. And then I can adjust if need be, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do my 3rd leg. Yeah, and then I'll put it back up there. So, and then as always, doing this. So how I'm doing this is take the nut, place it on there like that, place that on there, and then with the brush just kind of evenly apply it, and it keeps most of it off my fingers, but this shit gets everywhere. All right, so I got the Bedrack on. My plan worked really well with the 1 inch spacing between the bolt on each side. Definitely had to get I had to get 2 people to help me lift off from the ground. I had one hold that arm because it was wiggly. I held this one, and then someone held that one. We just lifted it up, slid it on in, got the bolts back in there. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. All right, so you have these traction board mounts right here. They're supposed to offset and they install right here for this side. But they are not offset enough. If you come around here, if you come around, you can see they're not supposed to sit on the fenders. These things were very particular. There was only a couple spots I could mount them to get them the appropriate width for the max tracks. And this is kind of a sweet spot, these two right here, and I dropped it low so they fit on there with the roto packs. I like how they sit. It's a really good system. It's just you're very limited with where you can actually put it, due to having to get those on there in a certain way. And then I also tried with this one, like this part on the inside, so on that side facing in, didn't really take, but this is how it goes, and it's on there now, and it's pretty solid. So I'll show you the completed thing after I get everything done. This is where we're at right now. Got the roto packs on there, got my recovery board on, or my recovery gear on there. It's on there like this. I'm using 2 panels, 4 screws on each side, and then 2 offset in the middle, one right here and one right here. And then it's not going anywhere. Like, I'm shaking the whole Jeep with it right there. Got the ARB awning on there, and then that's mounted with their mounts, which just bolt in with 2 screws right here. And then again on the other side, there's nothing in the center pillar. Then over here, got the roto packs mounted on those 4 right there, and then same on the other side. All right, so we're here. We're going to install the crossbars for the cargo tray, which is right here. And then we're also going to install the full-size door. So there were some, it's just extruded aluminum. So when they drilled the threads, there were some leftover pieces in there. I'll post a picture right about now. And then I was able to get most of it out with some needles, pliers. The other stuff I just pushed down with a Q-tip and then cleaned the threads with some WD-40. And now I'm just kind of like test fitting to make sure the internal threads are good. This is the last one I have to check. Just doing like a hand in there to test it. And then I'm gonna come back out with it, and then I'm gonna install it. So these bars are gonna go like this. And then I'm gonna put them in, initially I'm gonna try this top hole right here and this top hole right there, and then see how that goes with the tray. All right, so these are the locking things that slide into the extruded aluminum on the bars and secure it. They're much like the ones that go on here, which is something that I forgot to get a video of while I was installing, but I remembered that I probably should have done it before I put it on there when I was at work one day. Luckily, they slide right into these channels, so I didn't have to undo any of this, and I was able to install it as it sits on the truck. It was kind of annoying, much better to probably do on the ground, but I didn't do that. All right, so take 3. I decided to center it, so my OCD didn't get the best of me. So it was about 7 1/4 over here and a little under 7 1/4 right here. So you got all these spots, so you can pretty much put these T-nuts wherever. I did one on the outside in the front, one on the inside in the middle, and then another one on the outside in the back. All right, so I got the door on. It's 4 bolts per side, 2 up here that actually replace the support bolts, 1 in the middle and then 1 at the bottom. and then it's pretty sturdy. I'm pushed on it pretty good and it's not doing anything. It opens up like that. It's assisted. Got the drawer in. The drawer has a similar latch. And that's what it looks like when it comes out. I can still reach in here and grab whatever it is I'm gonna need to grab. It slides back in, locks into place. I do think that the lock might be one of the weaker points, because it's just this tiny bolt that keeps it in place with a washer behind it, and then there's no washer to really lock it in. So you can kind of twist it. But all in all, I think it's pretty good. Again, you can almost pull it out, but only if you're super rough on it, which you don't need to be. This locking thing is the same. All right, so on to the inside. Just kidding, my truck is locked. The bolts right up here are what replaced the standard bolts. All right, so this is a overall walkthrough. Double stack 2-gallon with the locking tabs. Put some tape on there to prevent gunk from getting in. Same. This is how the Max Track store on there. And there is room to get the top and bottom one off. Have it secured with a bike chain. Prevents sticky finger people. The tray centered. And then the recovery gear with the awning and the door. And then you can kind of see the way they do their Max Track design is actually pretty cool. It's just picky with how they want it mounted. And that's about how much space you have between the buffer or the... All right, so this is the only other piece I haven't installed yet. It's their propane mount for a 5-gallon propane tank. I'm gonna put it on the back leg like that, but I'm probably only gonna use it when I need the propane to mount it on. But I mean, it's sturdy steel just like everything else they've made. All right, hello. So gonna go over the KB Voodoo VRS. Total thoughts after having it installed and using it off-road twice, and just general thoughts, overviews, the good, the bad, the ugly. So I've kind of blocked this into 4 major things. So major issues I had, minor issues I had, potential issues that I'm going to have, and then my thoughts on what I do like about the product, which is a lot. So first of all, my major issue is the Bedrack is advertised as tonneau cover compatible. That is not the case for the setup I have, which is the Voodoo rails with the no drill brackets. It was not compatible with the BAK X4s hard rolling cover that I had. The BAK X4s rails leaned into the cab like this when they needed to be straight like this, so that the rolling part, the actual cover, could roll on and off smoothly and go into place without damage. The way the Voodoo rails sit on the Bedrack forced the back rails to go in. Completely not compatible. I put a video on of the back rails earlier and what it looked like. I don't have a video of me trying to install the rolling part. I fiddled with it for probably 30 minutes and just gave up. Didn't think it was prudent to the video. All right, so the issue here is KB Voodoo advertises that Bedrack setup as compatible with this tonneau cover. It is what it is. It doesn't work. If someone out there has it and it works, I'd love to see it. So if you do, comment below. Customer service. So the email responses were very quick, talking about late at night, past 7, sometimes even 8 o'clock, had a quick question about installing the product. Got an answer 90% of the time within 30 minutes. Big kudos to that. The biggest thing with the customer service is after I installed it, I had to install it in 2 parts. So the first part was the whole system with the accessory panels and the max track mounts. The second part was the cargo access door, the cargo tray, and the extruded aluminum rails that support the cargo tray. That was the tray, the door, and the rails are part 2. Everything else is part 1. So after part 1, I emailed the company. I was like, hey, look, 1, Bedrack is not compatible. This is why, with the tonneau cover. Part number 2, when you buy the rack, it comes with 4 accessory panels standard. Nowhere on the website's product page does it say it comes with 4 accessory panels standard. So I ordered the 3 that I need. So I got 7. In this email I sent to them after the wrap up, I told them that. I also told them that I was short hardware for 1 panel. They never sent it out. They told me I could return panels if I wanted to, but it had to be in perfect condition. The third point was kind of like instruction clarity. The instructions call for you to install the upper or horizontal support beams once the vertical support legs are installed on the truck. So I did that, but it was too hard as one person, so I took it down, turned it upside down, and installed it on my garage floor. Much easier for one person. I made a note like, hey, you could include this bit in the instructions, it might help people out. The only response I got back for those 3 points was a very short 3 to 4 sentence like, hey, yeah, it comes with 4 panels and you can return if you want them. They completely ignored the BAK X4s comment, and the email I received after I sent that email was from someone who identified themselves as the owner. So as the owner of a company who advertises Bedrack compatible with tonneau covers, and then a customer tells you the tonneau cover is not compatible, to ignore that is a big red flag for me. All right, so those are the 2 major things. All right, so moving on to the minor issues I had. There's no instructions for add-on parts. So there's no instructions for the propane mount. There's no instructions for the awning bracket. There's no instructions for the door or the tray. So I was using the product page just to make sure I was placing them in the right spot. Oh, and there's no instructions for the max brax mounts. Granted, it's just nuts and bolts, but it should be maybe like a 1-pager, like, hey, here's where you can mount these things. The door and the tray came to me assembled from the company, so that was pretty cool. I got a call saying that it was going to come that way because they were using it to train people within the company. So I'm not sure if they'll include instructions on how to set the door and the tray up. So I don't have information on that. Another minor thing is the bolt heads on the locks for the door and the tray seem really small. They're maybe securing the door and the tray in by 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters at best. I could see in some heavy off-roading that maybe one of those or both of them would pop loose and cause stuff to kind of fling around. Hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. So that's a minor thing that I could see happening. All right, potentially for people who want to use this Bedrack with the awning mounts and a rooftop tent. The way this awning mount sits is the support leg goes in towards the cab like this. The awning bracket has a small part, maybe 2 inches, that rides along the support beam and then shoots straight up. so it doesn't push the awning off of the vehicle. And it's very narrow on the top with, I don't have a rooftop tent, but what I would assume would be a rooftop tent. I know you won't be able to get any of the ones that are hard covers and they pop up on one side because it'll be blocked by the awning mount. You may be able to do a clamshell that opens like this. I think if they could engineer one that would push the awning away from the rack, that'd be beneficial. So I have the ARB Touring awning on there right now. It's just a straight out awning, and I have the room. So because the awning doesn't get pushed away from the truck with the mount, when I have the room installed, my Rubicon fender really pushes into the room. All right, so the good. The quality on this product is very nice. The powder coat is thick. It holds well. Like I installed some parts on my truck on the ground. I've taken it off road. It's limbs have hit it, not a scratch on it. I would expect that for the price you're paying for this Bedrack. I would expect quality, and I would expect the powder coat to hold up. They have a 3-year warranty on it, I believe. Next, it's adaptive. So it can do a lot of things. It has a lot of ways to mount products. It has a lot of pre-drilled holes that are ready for your products. With that adaptability, you're a little bit limited in where you can mount the products. For example, the MaxTrax mounts, as you can see earlier in the video, it really can only go one place with how spaced out the MaxTrax need to be. Also, because I have the Rubicon fender, I cannot mount it on the VRS Voodoo rails, which is this base structure of the Bedrack. So I have to mount them on an accessory panel. I didn't really mess around with moving the rotopacks too much because I didn't need to. I think there's probably 1 or 2 more spaces you could mount those on there. And then the recovery box I have on the side, I pretty much just matched up holes and put the bolts where I needed them to go. But I know they make bike mounts, they make a bunch of other stuff. They just released like a kayak thing. So it's the Bedrack itself is very adaptive. The install was super easy. So just anti-seized on all the bolts and screws in case I need to take it off. It was easy. It took a long time in a space of time for me, but in hours wise, if I had been able to do it and I had it all on day 1, I would have been able to knock it out in 1 full day. So it was a very easy install and it was pretty intuitive. I know I made a comment about the instructions earlier. You really only needed the instructions for a couple spots, but most people, if you've done this a time or two, you could probably look at it and install the whole thing yourself. The whole Bedrack is very thought out. I really like it. It's a system and it's designed to work with products within the KB Voodoo VRS system, which is pretty cool if you want to do a one-stop shop. So I really like it. I'm really glad I had of it. I was between this and Extrusion Overland. I ended up settling on this, honestly, due to shipping time. I really needed it. I didn't feel like waiting 3 months. And once I ordered this, I had all the parts within a week and a half, which is super awesome. Another reason I bought this was because of the tonneau adaptability. So I wanted it for now, with knowing I was going to install a fridge on a slide later and have to take the tonneau cover off anyway. So it's unfortunate that it's not compatible. Is it a big deal breaker for me? No, because I do want to install something later on anyway that would be not able to have the tonneau cover on. But for people that want the tonneau cover and a Bedrack, I don't know that this is the one for you. All right, so I do look forward to doing a follow-on video of this probably in 3 to 6 months. I think that I will have really liked this Bedrack and I'll put it through the paces. I can kind of give you guys some clues on how often I've had to torque things back to spec from it coming loose from wheeling and all that stuff. Can give you more thoughts on the cargo tray, can give you more thoughts on how, just in general, how things have held up from the powder coat to the strength of the Bedrack. All right, thank you for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button, all that stuff, and we'll be sure to get more content on here. Also, check us out on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you.